Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Nick.
I'm Nay, and welcome.
This is Millennial Madness.
Yes. Well, we are back with another episode. We are so excited, guys. This is gonna be
Ready.
It's gonna be bomb. I'm telling
Ready
you.
and riding.
The topic that we're about to talk about, and we actually have a special guest with us. Why don't you introduce who you are?
Hi, my name is Alana. I am finishing up in school. It's very exciting. I'm a music major, music education. Really exciting,
Really professional.
New things.
And totally not how she really is.
Totally not how she really
We're going to bring it out of her. Come on out of here.
Yeah, so we actually have Alana with us. We are super excited because the topic that we're actually going to be talking about is balancing aspirations with your reality. So Liz, kind of go into detail. What exactly does that mean?
So, for instance, I'm a working mom. I work a full-time job. My kids, I have 4 of them suckers that I have to get through school. We have bills. We have a house to keep up. There's dinner. There's cleaning. There's getting your body right. So I think what we really are trying to say is, how do you balance so many things while still staying sane? I think that's like wrapping it, summarizing it. Because I'll be honest, sanity is very fluid, you guys. It's very fluid. It can
Not everybody has it.
It depends on the day. Like today is Sunday. Who knows what happens on Wednesday? Who knows?
Are y'all saying today? I'm like 60% saying.
You know, I'm approaching. You know,
yeah.
It's a teetering scale.
Today.
Okay. It's day by day.
Yes.
So, Nay, what are we gonna talk about?
So basically, let's look at the reason why we have Alana on our show today is because Alana, as she stated, she is about to be a recent graduate, like in the next couple of weeks. I think they pushed it back because of COVID, but she's about to graduate. So she has her whole life, literally, she can do whatever she wants. She doesn't have, she doesn't have any kids. I'm not going to say whether or not she's single or not, not unless he wants to say it, but she doesn't have any kids. She's super smart, and literally she's about to graduate, meaning that she literally has the world inside of her hands. She can do whatever she wants to do. And it's a contrast to myself and my sister because we didn't have that luxury. When we graduated college, one was pregnant. B, one already had a child, so it's like we didn't have that same opportunity to just go after our goals how we wanted to. And so, right. Alana, I want to start it off and open it up with like a question. How do you feel about this freedom? Like, how do you feel about not having any holdbacks?
Lowered glasses.
All right. All right. So, how do I feel about this freedom? What was the second part of the question?
How do you feel about the freedom that you're about to experience?
All right. So let me be real silver lining-ish about this and start with positive stuff, you know what I'm saying? Let's start with that. So I feel really optimistic about what is about to happen to me. I feel like I'm in a good position to do what I want to do with my life, and I feel like I've learned a lot in school. That's always good. So much money. What if I hadn't learned anything?
It's so much money.
Honestly, big scam.
So much money.
Honestly, still a scam, but I learned. So, yeah. So I feel capable of doing the things I need to do and what my profession will be. I do feel like y'all ain't hear that little waver in the voice right there. Y'all ain't hear
I heard it.
It's okay. It's all right.
So I do feel confident that I'll get a job.
Mm-hmm.
But
are you ready? Are you ready?
It sounds very textbook.
You're ready.
Right now. Very put together.
All right. So I'm gonna go back to what Liz said, ready. What is that word?
What is that? What?
Isn't it? Is it another spectrum? I feel like it should be another spectrum, right?
It's very fluid.
Spectrum of readiness.
Very fluid.
So if we say, how ready are you, Alana, from a scale of 1 to 10? I'm gonna give you a good solid 5.
Ooh,
why.
That
It wasn't as high of a number.
Probably no, like a step drink.
8-ish, 8.
No, I'm giving you honesty, baby. I'm giving you honesty. So,
whoa. But that's real though. That's real because I'm gonna tell you, I had all the confidence. I was like, I'm about to be just the next best thing. I'm about to just take over the world and nobody can tell me nothing. So like hearing that 5, that's real. Cause like looking back, that's probably where I should have started with my expectations because
yeah, I feel like I mean, you know, it's not like the stakes are high, but I mean at the same time I feel like I have I have a plan for what's supposed to happen. You know, I'm gonna find a job and move somewhere, but it's kind of like, I mean, it sounds really simple when you say it out loud and like on paper, but like when you're
but it's not.
It's like moving sucks, you know. Being in an area potentially where you don't know anyone, that's a whole thing. You have to find like resources and friends and like mentors,
support systems.
Where you need to go. Yeah, different systems at work. Like me and Liz were talking the other day on the phone, and she said something about taxes. I said, "What do you mean
adult? That's real adult.
Like, that wasn't
that's
even
hair on your chest, adult, right there.
That's what that is. To a thought that I had even ever had, and like I feel like there's just a lot of. I think the reason why I say 5 is because like I have a good deal of confidence to do like what I need to do, and I was raised super duper independent. So I feel like, you know, I can make it, but there's just so many unknowns.
Right.
I don't want. I feel like saying like 10 is like a little naive and a little.
That's not the truth. And you know what? I'll say this too. It's almost kind of like, you know, whenever I started college, like I was almost ready to go. I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to get away from a lot of what was surrounding me. And so I feel like when I ended up pregnant my sophomore year in college, and I was like, oh my gosh, like Jazz, you done got yourself into something that I don't know if you can get yourself out of. And it's like my confidence level in myself, it was like, oh, I know I'm gonna do it. Like any means necessary. Like I still have goals for myself, but it's also kind of like you said, it's like, but what about my child? What about, am I ready? What about money? Like I gotta have money in my pocket. How am I gonna do that? I have to figure out where I'm gonna stay. I have to figure out all of these different things. And sure, you know, my family was there, but ultimately it's on you. Like you ultimately have to make that decision as far as like, you know what, boom, I'm staying in Texas. Boom, I'm gonna get this job. I'm gonna go for this job and this is what I'm gonna do. Everybody can give you all of these different opinions, but it's ultimately up to you to make a decision what's best for yourself. And so I think that, you know, having aspirations and having goals, you know, for yourself kind of keeps you in a buffer, because it's like you can wake up and say, wait a minute, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. You know, how do I get back to where I'm supposed to be? Because my goal, my dream board or whatever I put says, this is where I should be. I should be working this job. I want to live in this place and I want to do this, but my mind is over here. So.
Well, just, you know, kind of segue into that. Like we kind of touched on that in our last episode. And like, I guess I see it in a different light because those buffers, trust me, what I had in mind for my life was totally different from how it went. But it was good that it went differently.
Right.
When I got pregnant, I was pregnant walking across the stage. I was 5 months pregnant getting my diploma. So I made it. I didn't have a gap. I was going to class, you know, wibbly wobbling, but still fabulous doing it. Let's just be clear. But I got my degree, you know what I'm saying? And
let them know.
That was something that, that was something that really helped me overall, because even though it was like a blip, it didn't completely derail me, you know? And honestly, I had full intentions of like studying abroad. I was going to be in a hut somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Out there, zebras, looking at each other every morning. And that plan was changed. And I'm so grateful that it was, because I was not prepared. I
Yeah.
thought I was, but I was not prepared to be in a situation like that, especially coming from America.
Yeah.
I needed to grow a little bit. And so, for me, I think even though there are these buffers and there are these goals, because, we're boss chicks. That's just who we are. That's what we do. We're sharks, you know what I'm saying? And so being sharks, even if the current or the tide changes, we're adaptable. So I think that, yes, we have those outliers, but I don't see them as more so buffers. I see them as guidelines. I see them as turning signals, and you just adjust accordingly. So we have a question for you, Alana. So what happens? Yes, you. Yeah. So
you again.
Let's just say you were in that situation, right? Because let's just be real, it usually falls on the woman.
Life happens.
Our bodies change, our whole impact changes. And that's just the truth and reality for a lot of women out there. Like you it's on you, whether you want it to be or not, whether you do have I was blessed to have somebody that had my back and our baby's back. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have to struggle. We struggled together. It wasn't just me struggling independently, but a lot of women did not have that. So let's just say for you, single or maybe not single, I'm not gonna put your business out there, but let's just say this happened to you. So what, with your dreams and your aspirations, how would you adapt? Like what have you even thought of what that adaptation would look like?
I really haven't given it a lot of thought at all, to be honest with you. I think that in the situation that did happen, yeah, I mean, adapting is that's
really... Take a sip of your wine, girl. Take a sip of your
wine.
Yes.
I finished it, so
it's just marinating right now. It's just marinating. It's like easing its way through. Yeah.
Just saying,
because honestly,
that took years to adapt to.
Honestly, life really just happens. And even if it's not a pregnancy, even if it's okay, so I have this great job, they've called me, they said, you know what? Yeah, sure, Alana, we're going to hire you. We love everything that you have. And then you move yourself out there, you get there, you've adjusted your whole life. And then they say, you know what? We're going to do a hiring freeze right now. Or COVID happens, and it's like, we're not going to be able to hire you right now, but we'll keep you in mind. We'll keep your resume on file, for when they have future opportunities, we'll call you. And now you're like, oh my gosh, like what I had here is not where I'm at right now. So then what happens? Like, what do you do in that situation? Because there are a lot of people that those things happen, unexpected things happens that deter you from your goals. What do you do?
Right.
Yeah. And it's okay not to know.
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, but I think that in that situation, I'm typically a more anxiety prone person, but I do, pride myself in being when it's time to, crack down on things that need to be done.
Right.
There's just, you have to kind of zero in on what the target is. And in that situation, it would be my well-being, in a situation where like I was with a child, it would be the child's well-being, and if things have to freeze, then things have to freeze. And I would have to, do what I could to make sure that I was doing more good than bad in my life at the time.
Yeah.
I guess I would think, it would be really tiresome. There would be a lot of adjustments that I'd have to make things work. Y'all are both like, baby, young.
Girl, do you see the bags on my eyes?
Truly, like, I'm sure it would be, like crazy. There's nothing like that's unprecedented for me. I've never been in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Where I have to drop everything.
But you know what? One of the things that I want to bring up though is that your mind is already like I don't care what it is, like I'm gonna figure that out. Like it's
Right.
it's fight or
That's
flight. Like,
real.
I'm not fighting, like I'm gonna fight whatever it is. And my question is like, how do you develop that? Like I know we, of course, we're all cut from a different cloth, but some of these people out here not. Some of these people fold under pressure and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I do? I'm pregnant, I don't have no money. Rescue me, rescue me. They looking for all these people to rescue me, come help me. I need help. And girl, I'm going through and I need some help. Go set up a GoFundMe account, How do you develop a mentality of, you know what, whether or not you're here with me or not, whether or not I'll get it or not, I'm gonna be straight. How do you develop that type of mentality?
I think for me, I'm not sure that I would be prepared to give like advice or counsel to someone who is in a position that like they aren't accustomed to thinking that way. I'm not sure that I
Right.
could give effective counsel to someone in that position because
Right.
I can wholeheartedly say that much like you two, I know for sure also we learn from example.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean? Like the people who raised us did what they had to do, period. And that was
Right.
just
Right.
so it was like, don't cry over spilled milk. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you have, this thing going on. I understand that you're sad, but you have to
Figure it
come
out, baby.
and that's
And
it.
stay there.
Yeah, I
Stay
mean,
there.
and I do think about that a lot. I'm real sappy or whatever, so I'm always thinking about like, oh, how can I be a better friend? Blah blah blah. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
friends I have that like have a totally different upbringing experience than I do, and not to say that like I had the roughest experience ever or whatever,
Right.
but I was lucky enough to have I mean, yeah, I was lucky. It is a blessing in a way to have a mother that was so um tunnel vision on
Yeah.
keeping things in line the way that they needed to be in line to keep us alive
Right.
and well. So, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I would say for me, the way that I developed that is almost exclusively from the example of seeing my mom be like a person that no matter like what happened, there would be a moment where I would be like scared or whatever, like, whoa, like, what did you just tell me? And then she'd be like, okay, so I don't know what's happening right now,
That
but let me tell you something.
that sounds like it.
You're gonna be all right. I don't know
Yeah.
how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And like,
real.
I think just growing up with that experience, like I've just adopted that mindset as like, I don't know how I'm gonna get past this, but I'm pretty sure I will.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna keep
So
on.
what would you want? Like, for instance, like I know we've asked you questions, but like for us, what would you like if you could ask us something? What would you want to know from us from our experiences? Because we're very different, even though we did like she was sophomore year, I was senior year. You're fresh out of, the lockdown, if you will.
Yeah.
So what would you want to know from someone that has been there before you to kind of help you with that situation?
Been in this situation of like having so much opportunity in front of me that it's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Because
Or if your dream was deferred.
yeah, there are other millennials that are in this exact same phase.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm graduating. What the hell am I about to do? I don't
Right.
know what to do. And some people don't have the luxury of picking up their mom and saying, Mom, look, I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. Like
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
stressed. I don't know what to do. So from a millennial standpoint, what is something that you feel like what is a question that you feel like would be helpful to be answered for people that are in your same shoes?
Let's see. So a question that has been kind of like running through my mind lately has been, when well, I'll say because I'm in a different situation, where I'm not really tied to anything,
Mm-hmm.
this way that I don't really have anything pulling me or keeping me in any certain place. So I would say, what is like the most important thing that you would consider when moving to a different place? Like, how do you decide where's a good, like,
I
where's
can help with that.
yeah. So,
The most important thing about moving to a new place.
mhm.
One thing that I definitely downplayed was the importance of a support system and the importance of doing your research, because this is the first time I've lived away from home as long as I have. Like, I've gone places. I've always been like, oh, I'm about to go. But like actually planning roots somewhere else and having your family being miles away, or all of your friends being miles away, that is something that has been a huge paradigm shift for me, because I can't just pick up the phone and say, hey girl, let's have brunch. I need an event. I can't just say, hey, can somebody come pick up the kids? I'm across town, can you grab them from school? Or if somebody gets sick, it's all on you. So I think making sure that if you are able to go somewhere where there is support, do that. Even if it's like maybe an hour or so out, going somewhere where you have a support system is very important. Number two, do your research on the cost of being there, because all Southern people, you know what I'm saying? And I'm living in the North right now. And let me tell you, the bills hit you different. Okay. Yeah. They hit you different because the housing is different. The styles of housing is of difference. The age of housing is different. The roads, the cost of insurance, the cars, like we had to go from just regular, rear or frontal wheel drive to all wheel drive because it snows, so there are a lot of things that you have to put into perspective before you go somewhere, because if you're gonna be stuck like Chuck, okay? Stuck like Chuck. Wow. Whoa. I'm saying it's not no stress. I'm not trying to deter you, okay?
Yeah, right.
Or vice versa. If we were to come from the north to go back down to the south, it's hot down there. Mm-hmm. What if I wasn't accustomed to the heat and the mosquitoes and not having a winter, wearing shorts for Christmas? Mm-hmm. It's a huge shift. But I think the main thing is definitely finding support. If you don't have support, building that support. Go to groups, join a church or organization or something. Like I'm a member of Junior League. That has been one of my support systems, because these ladies can tell me about the city that I'm living in. Right. I have people I can call. I have built-in friends. So wherever I go, I can go with them. So support and research the cost.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. You know what? Honestly, I think too, one of the things that I would maybe advise to someone who is like their life is in front of them and they're not sure about what they want to do, I would say don't make permanent decisions.
Yes.
Yet. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, for example, if someone is moving from, like Liz said, from the south to the north, or I'm talking about someone free with no type of attachments. And you say, you know what? I don't like it here in Louisiana anymore. I think I want to move to New York. Don't go and put a permanent situation on you to where you can't leave. Because ultimately, after about 3 or 4 months, you can be like, okay, so this feeling and wore off. I don't like it here. I really don't like it here a lot. I'm here because maybe my job is here, or I'm here because of maybe blah, blah, blah. But you don't want something that's going to hold you down. Like I know people who have gone and went and got full-blown mortgages, full-blown houses, full houses in other states because they're on this new wave trip. And then it's like they wake up.
Then you stuck.
6 months later and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't get out of this mortgage. Like I'm just stuck here. I can't get out. And so I think that until someone decides that, you know what, this is home, like this works for me, this is it, then I would say put your roots in and start, because a lot of, people are still young. You're still young, and who's to say you might meet somebody that's like living somewhere else in California, but you've started your life in Texas. And it's like, okay, but I want to come up there with you, or I want to come, you got to figure all of that stuff out. So
there's nothing wrong with renting.
It's nothing wrong with that.
Rent is good. Okay. Renting it shifts the responsibility from your pockets to someone else's pocket while still giving you a place to live. And that's something that's super important that, because we were intending on being homeowners. That would have trapped us in a place that may have been a temporary spot for us, So leave your options open, stay loosey goosey, and if things change one way or another, we use pregnancy as an example because it is a huge life shift, but like sickness, there is financial issues, because coins are coins and them coins jiggle all the way down out of your pocket sometimes. What if something happens to someone in your family, and you have to go back? So just leaving those doors open and also tying it back to having that balance of, you have options, keeping that in mind and making sure that also your mental health is great, because all of the things could be in line, but if your mental health is off, because it can be lonely and isolating being somewhere by yourself.
Yeah. And you know what, too, going back
that balance.
Going back to the whole aspiration situation, once you're there, even though these things happen, how do you continuously balance that? What are the things that could possibly be done to balance hey, look, I got all this pressure, like I'm ready to go, I don't want to do this, or somebody's sick and I'm rushing. Trying to, how do you balance to keep your sanity,
Stop rushing. That's the main thing. Like, this is not, let me tell you, we are just a small fraction into our lives, hope, God willing, you know what I'm saying? And I know for me, one thing that kept me so stressed was trying to hit certain milestones, certain goals, certain points in life when I was not prepared for it. I was not mentally, financially, emotionally, spiritually, all the leaves, I was not ready for it. And looking at other people that only post the positives, never the pitfalls, never the drops, never, I've started so many businesses. I'm always, everybody posts the positives. They never post the negatives. They don't post the struggles. And so getting caught up in that comparison that, man, I should be here, when the truth is,
y'all ain't there. You're not there. You're not.
Nobody's there.
Like, not there. Stop.
I think that's where the key balance is recognizing that it's not a race. You'll get there when you get there. Take your time and, don't make a permanent decision off of temporary feelings,
Got it.
Finding that balance. Look, let me tell you, girl, take it from me. Don't get no bags under your eyes from stress. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. So,
yeah, I think that's good. I think
I've been drinking,
good. And I think too.
I mean, I feel like telling me that is like the whole thing. I mean, like, very difficult, very much harder to do than to say. And you know what I mean? I can't promise that I won't get stressed out about things, but I do know that I have people like you and Jazz to, like, call and vent about whatever is going on in the moment, you know what I mean? And I'm really thankful to have that support system, even though it's not like an immediate support system. I'm glad that I have the contact. Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's wild, like, thinking about me and Jazz were actually talking about this earlier, not having anything sort of like tying me down or pulling me to any sort of place. Is like, there's so much opportunity, so many possibilities, but in my mind, the first thing that comes to me, there's so many possibilities, but in my mind, possibility yields also many disappointments. So it's like, and that's inevitable. I'm gonna be disappointed, but I guess just, I think what alongside the things that you said earlier about like logistics, more like realistic things, like thinking about like on a spiritual, emotional kind of level, making sure that if I am going to put down any sort of roots, or if I'm going to be in a place for a while, that I'm moving to a place where, like, hopefully, even if, there are circumstances that are difficult to deal with, I still have, an environment around me that makes it easier for me to keep my eyes on what it is that I want to do, what it is that I want to accomplish, which, that's a good question. Can I add a question?
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a
It
question.
depends.
So like that being said, since, we're talking about, kind of like things that might get us off the track of whatever we have going on, what do you guys think your calling, like, do you think like what your calling or what your purpose is, or things that you like think you have more of an inclination, affinity for?
I'll go first. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay.
What I thought my calling was, it might still be my calling, but I am not doing it because I feel like times are so different than before. Like when you were in elementary school and they're like career day, what are you going to be when you grow up? And everybody's coming in as doctors and everybody coming in as lawyers and all of this type stuff. There are literally so many different things you can do. And I'm talking about to make money. And honestly, if we're just being real about it, sometimes your calling isn't going to get you where you want to be in life. Like everybody, like I went to school for education. I was a teacher for a while. And the salary of a teacher is not going to get me where I'm trying to be. They have teachers that'll work 2 and 3 and 4 jobs to make it. I can't do that. You know what I mean? And so,
where are you trying to be? When you say where I'm trying to be, do you mean financially?
It's financially, it's having the options of flexibility, like I don't want to be, there's more to life than me just going and working a 9 to 5 to me. Now, some people like it. Some people like the consistency of the, everything. But for me, it was more of, I like to travel. I like to have my hands in a lot of different things. I like to have several, like we have, like, I already have 2 businesses right now. You know what I mean? So it's like, I like my hands in a lot of different things so I can develop and culture it. I'm trying to develop things for my children in the long run, to where I can have them straight. And for me, my calling as far as with teaching, it wasn't conducive to that. Now, some people say, on a spiritual level, people say, your gift will make room for you. God will allow things to, and I believe that. I do. But I also believe in working smart and not hard, if that makes sense. Yeah. So if for me, teaching at that time is taking away time from my children and taking away time from my sanity and taking away time from this and that, guess what? Bye. I'm going to find something else to do, you know what I mean? That's going to help me make more money. And that's how life is to me. That's just how life is. And so I feel like go with your calling, go with what you enjoy to do. But nobody is made to only like one thing. To me, nobody is made to only want to do one thing. Like, I'm not doing nothing else, but I'm teaching. I'm just going to teach. I don't believe that there's only one thing that you're called to do. You can be called to teach, but you can also be called to motivate. Be a motivational speaker. You can, you're good with money, or you're good with finances. You're good with seeing the good thing, seeing the diamond in the rough. Go do real estate. You know what I mean? There are different ways.
Go teach real estate.
Go teach real estate.
There's different.
There are other things to do. So I feel like people get so caught up in, oh, well, I went to school for nursing and I have to be a nurse. No, you don't. No, you don't. Like, you only have to be a nurse because you're saying you have to be a nurse. You can go do whatever you want to do. Yeah. I see moms all the time, they get caught up in, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but before all this, I used to, want to be a pilot. Okay, you wanted to be a pilot. What's stopping you? Well, girl, these kids, and I understand that. You got to figure out a way to help yourself be what you want to be. You know what I mean? And so I wouldn't get so caught up in the calling aspect. Mm-hmm. Find something that you love to do that's going to get you where you want to be in life and make it work. Yeah. That's just my thought on it.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. I guess I want to add to that because when I started school, I went in for biological sciences. I love biology. I wanted to be a doctor. However, my school quickly opened my eyeballs to the realities of being a doctor by seeing what they go through, the hours, the chemistry, Lord, the chemistry. So that shifted to me wanting to go and do mental health because, hey, we're still helping, but we're dealing with the mind instead of the body. And I did that for, that I believe is my calling, or one of my callings, because I wanted to be a marriage and family counselor. I did crisis and suicide counseling for 8 years. I worked in case management, social work, that kind of thing. And I hated it. I hated seeing people at their worst and not being able to do anything about it. I hated seeing that there are so many systems to keep oppressed people oppressed, even by their own families. Right. And that just ripped my heart out of what I wanted my calling to be. That drive to still counsel, to still mentor, to still lead, to still do these things, it never went away. But the approach in which I was originally intending on doing just was, as you said, not conducive to me, which is kind of why, you know, we're in a way we're teaching, in a way we're counseling, in a way we're mentoring. One day I hope to be a public speaker. One day, you know, I'm in the process of finishing up some children's books. That is a passion of mine because I'm wanting to mentor and teach kids through these stories, through the morals, through the things like that. And so, yes, you know, God will make a way for your gift. However, there are different routes to that calling and to that gift, that it's not just pigeonholed into one set thing. Like, so for right now, as a working mom, I had to put my dreams of getting my master's on hold. Why? Because I'm tired. Okay, I'm tired. There's children everywhere. Okay, there's children.
You sound just like your mom.
You were fruitful and multiplied, honey.
You sound like Evelyn.
We were fruitful and multiplied a little too well. Okay, and therefore, that dream had to be shoved onto the side just a little while, just you know, just to, and so now that my kids are more independent, there are ways to utilize those skills that I grew and developed and nurtured
while you were still being a mom.
While I'm still being a mom.
Behind, you know,
never, and this is something that I struggled with for years. I'm just now coming out of this. Never, ever, ever, ever forget that you are a woman first. You're not just mom. You're not just wife. You're not just sister or aunt or cousin or employee or employer. You're a woman first.
Right.
And you deserve to be taken care of. You deserve to be thought of. You deserve to invest in yourself. And that is something that, especially as moms, we do not do. Okay. My sister, yeah, her right there, that has the braids. Everybody in the picture with braids on, except for me, had me looking like a mom.
Oh, whoa.
Had me. Stop. You know, we're gonna talk about that offline.
I feel like I'm gonna reiterate what I said earlier. It's a lot of sodium coming from you right now. You need to drink some water.
I'm not fresh water right now. I'm not. Okay. You know what? You're right. It's okay. But you know what? You can also be fun as a mom. You can be fun as a woman. You can also, we can laugh and joke and all of the experiences. You know, I'm very entrepreneurial. My mindset is all about building. My ultimate goal is to one day open a homeless shelter. It's not even a homeless shelter. It's a homeless village where I can use those skills from social work, where I can use those skills from counseling and help those people with addiction, help those people that just don't know how to manage money, that may have fallen on hard times, may have mental health issues. And we just create this village of people that makes a self-sustainable homeless center. That is my ultimate goal. That's my
Girl, you better be careful saying this on here. You know, people like to steal ideas. But anyway.
If you want to throw some coins at my dream, contact me. It's going to happen. It didn't happen in the time I wanted it to happen. It did not happen in the way that I thought it would happen because I am not a counselor, people. Maybe that's that is one of my callings.
That's all right.
However, that's not what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I'll oversee that. And so how did I get there? I decided to go into business instead so that I can oversee the business of my passion.
Mhm.
So I guess this is a really long way of saying, even though our passions or our callings or our gifts are things that maybe went awry because of this, because of that, because of whatever, overall, we're still living in that, even if we didn't live in it in the way that we originally thought we would.
Mhm.
So you, with your life ahead of you, do not get discouraged if you get deterred. Okay. Look, the road to success is like this. It's more like that. Okay. I'm doing it like that because that's how that's the truth. It's not gonna be like this.
Right.
It's always gonna be this way. Just don't get discouraged when you're little.
Right.
Yeah.
So, one thing that I oh no, she froze.
Yeah. I think Liz froze.
Okay. Well, while she's frozen, I'll go ahead and share a thought real quick. So I really I know I wasn't like great about communicating exactly what I was doing in college with y'all, and that's my bad. Yeah.
Mhm.
But anyway, I do think that I was really, 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 really immersed in the college experience.
Yeah.
And just like being in a really like high intensity sort of like really intense climbing up the like academic ladder sort of thing, and like being
Yeah.
in this environment where like it felt like I always had to be on all the time.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi.
Where did y'all lose me? Because all of a sudden y'all were like, and you stopped moving.
Girl,
Stop moving.
Let's wind it back. I was
like,
it's all right.
Blink if you hear
no,
me.
honestly, we heard the whole we finished, we heard the whole thought, and it was like
it cut off. Like, I'm not sure if you said anything after that. We didn't hear if you cut off, but it sounded like you completed a thought.
yeah,
I completed it, and then I stared at you, and I was like,
and then we stared at you. We were like,
what are y'all?
all right, moving on. Let's move on.
I hit that.
This is people.
Yeah. But go ahead, Alana. What were you saying?
I forgot. Just kidding. Huh? Okay. So I was saying earlier, like coming out of like, you know, a really intense 4-year degree, which should have been a 5-year degree, hot take, but actually it should. Yeah, the music education program at my university, like it feels like it should be a little bit longer. I mean, it was a lot of stuff to get done in a really short amount of time, and it feels almost impossible to do if you don't come in with some sort of like credits from high school. I only came in with 2 credits, and it was really something else. Anyway, so being in that environment where like I always felt like I had to like grind. Also, you know, the position of being like, you know, in the School of Music at my university, like there isn't a whole lot of Black students, and because like you're walking into this establishment where things are so like highbrow and blah blah blah, you know, like walking in as a freshman, not understanding what the expectations would be, not understanding like how presenting yourself in a professional environment works, you know, and then also just, you know, being born with the whole thing where when you walk into a room, people have an assumption of you just because of the way you look, you know?
That's a whole nother.
It's a whole baby.
That's a whole nother.
For
and,
the,
you know, and it's like it's crazy because it's like, you know, I don't know. It's why that's a whole nother time. There's so many different, you know, alleyways that we could go down in that within that topic. But just being in that place where like, you know, you feeling like you're really like under fire and under pressure to like perform at the highest level you can.
Yeah.
100%. You got, so, you know, being in a place where like I have, you know, 3 jobs and I'm on a 19-hour schedule.
Ooh,
And like, you know, I'm commuting from home 30 minutes, but there and back. I pay for gas, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm just worn out. I have no time for me. I'm going through emotional ups and downs because I'm a child. You know what I mean? Like it's wild. And like just all that stuff. And then, you know, being in this environment where it's really kind of not okay especially for me, woman of color, to like express those things.
It's looked down upon.
Any
Feel
weakness.
like it's okay. It doesn't feel like there's a space for that. Being in that situation where it literally feels like you have to be a machine and just move up the ranks, like it's so unrealistic for what life is. Because what that taught me was that, like, if I just grind myself into the ground and work like the hardest out of anyone in the room, that I will just accomplish things and things will come to me. However,
you are ready for motherhood.
It's not knocked up. It's wild. It's wild that could, like,
you are ready for chocolate motherhood.
Everything, like, and it doesn't even have to be like me getting pregnant or like anything like that, which is like a wild, I feel like it's a wild hypothetical. I don't know, but like, anything could happen, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different things that could just be thrown at me. Like, even if I'm grinding and like working so hard. So to hear you guys, I've always thought of y'all as like super driven. Y'all have always, like, from what I can remember, always had like a strong sense of direction. Y'all wasn't on the streets, you know what I'm saying? Like,
girl,
whatever. Okay, all right. So we got phases, okay? But like,
well, I appreciate your confidence.
Okay, all right.
I felt like Pocahontas' compass, okay? That's what it was.
Take the compliment, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, it felt like y'all had, it felt like you guys had like somewhere that you were trying to go. You know what I'm saying? So like, and maybe that wasn't always defined, but there was always like a need to go in a direction. All right.
Yeah.
We can say that. All right. We can stick with that.
Yeah, we can go with that.
In a direction, right? And that can, I feel like a lot of people would identify with that. I might find myself in that place one day, just like not really knowing what the direction is, but needing to go.
Call me, girl.
Direction, you know what I'm saying?
Call me.
So, but anyway, it's really refreshing to hear, like, from people who have gone through that experience firsthand of being in a situation where, like, you are going in a specific direction and then something goes like this skirt and you're in a different direction, but you have to find your way and like redirect yourself back to what you think you're called to do. And that might not, another thing learning that you learn being in like a really intense college situation, like, it really feels like you need to know to the most minute detail what the heck you will be doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like that just isn't the case for everyone. And it feels like there's like sort of like a shame that people put on each other.
Yeah, if you don't have it together.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like that's not right. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't
like that's literally why we made this, because
exactly
nobody talks about it, and
it makes no sense.
You're unprepared because nobody, you feel like everybody has it together. And let me tell you, even the most together people do not have it together. It just looks that way.
Exactly.
It just looks like we're just not designed to be perfect.
Yeah.
There's going to be that. There's always going to be, even if, let's just say I had all the money that I needed and wanted at that time. Let's just say I actually went through with the goals, the dreams, everything that I wanted to do. There would still be something. I don't know what something would be that would not go the way I wanted to go. It just, that's just how it works. And not having the space or the freedom. It took a while for us to get to this freedom because, we grew up, what happens in the house stays in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like having the freedom to say, look, I'm struggling.
Yep.
Look, I'm going through this. Look, my family's going through it. Look, my money's not right. So guess what? I can't go out with you guys. I can't buy out today. We ate before we came, but we're gonna come and say hey.
I think
that's real.
And I think one of the things that, one of the last things that we can touch, which I think is a good place for us to close out on, is when you get to a place where you feel like your aspirations are not, you don't feel as driven. You don't feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing? I'm just stuck. When you get to a place where you don't know what to do and you feel like you're just doing the same wheel, at that point, you need to check your environment. You need to check who in the world who are you around? Are you around people who are motivating you, who are saying, girl, look, I understand, but what happened to that business you said you was going to do? I'm still waiting for that business idea. I'm still waiting for you to go ahead and get into school. I'm still waiting for you to go ahead and, what happened to you saying you were check your environment, because if your environment,
accountable.
And that's the thing, if your environment isn't conducive to what you're trying to do, then maybe that's the issue right there. Maybe that's why you can't figure out where to go, because nobody is sharpening your iron, So I think that everybody is embedded with dreams. Everybody as a child wants to be something. I don't think I've ever come across a kid and asked, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? And they're like, I don't know. 9 times out of 10, of course, it's the football, it's the doctor, I'm going to be a dancer or a singer. Everybody wants to do something. So it's like when life kicks you all the way down and you find out, man, I ain't doing nothing with my life. You need to check your environment, and that's for anybody, like any millennial, anybody that's 30, 40, 50, however, it's never too late. You know what I mean? And you wake up and you're like, I just got kids going everywhere and I don't know what to do. And I don't have nothing for myself. Check your environment. Are you talking to people who are going to level you up? Yeah. Are you, being
never want to be the smartest person in the
world. Never. So that's a great yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of this whole situation. It's like Alana is ready to go and do anything that she wants to do. Literally, anything she can do, anything she can be. And you don't have to have it all together. It's okay if you deter, but when you do deter and you wake up and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, check your environment.
Yeah. So, we're going to hold you accountable. Don't talk about that.
Yeah.
On the grind that we know that you can do. And I expect the absolute same from you. Yep. Somebody that does not tell you that you are not doing okay does not truly love you. Yep. They don't care about your well-being. They don't care about your future, because someone that truly cares, they're going to love you, but they're also going to challenge you. They're also going to say, hey, you could be doing better in this area. And I expect we should not be on good terms all the time. Like, I should be mad.
Yeah.
At least one time. At least one time you should be like, you know what? You could have been better with that. I will love you and respect you, and you will get so much further in life by having people that are holding you accountable and get you on your stuff. And we saying stuff. And somebody that's saying yes and amen to everything that you're doing, knowing that you're failing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can sit on that one. I'm just saying,
take a bite out of that apple.
Hey.
Wow. Energy here.
Wow.
All right, guys. Well, final thoughts. Anybody have any final thoughts to close out this podcast, this discussion? Any final thoughts?
I think it's been great. We need to follow it up.
Yes.
I have
one. Down in front.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like it was for people who are in my position where you're trying to, like, there's so much in front of you that it almost becomes an overwhelming experience. I think it's cool to hear from, like, older people, that it's okay to, like, take a second, and if something kind of hits you in a way that you didn't expect, to take a second and redefine, like, what your direction looks like. Like you guys were saying earlier, like, it doesn't have to be as fine-tuned as, like, being specifically a counselor. It could be you have an affinity for, like, talking to people and caring about certain things or whatever, and so you do something that is a position in that field. Like, I think that people are a little, like, especially millennials, I would say, are, like, really, really gung-ho about doing, like, very specific things, and I think that that comes from the highlight reel on social media too, I think it's cool that, to hear that affirmation of, like, it's cool to, like, take a second and reevaluate things if you kind of get knocked off track, or even if you decide that really, really finely tuned thing that you decided and picked a while back isn't what you want to do anymore. It's okay to like take a second and redo what you are.
Yeah. Take a gap year if you need to.
Right.
Yeah.
Phenomenal idea. Like, don't rush.
That was your idea.
Don't rush.
Good job.
I tell you, if I could be in my family's bosom right now, not paying bills, honey.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, I think that this was like a really good discussion, and I hope that all of our listeners got something out of it. If you have any questions, please be sure, shoot us a message.
Please.
Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Instagram. Put a comment in the YouTube box below. We will respond because we're here to help. We've been through a lot.
And subscribe, please.
Subscribe. Please subscribe, guys.
Like and subscribe and share.
Sharing is caring.
We are a Barney generation. You know what I'm saying? Barney raised me.
Wow.
Sharing is caring.
Barney? Barney gonna tell Barney.
Come on. No, we're not.
All right, next. So guys, you know what? We're done. We are done.
Okay.
So please be sure to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to get on board with this Millennial Madness. We will be talking about more things. We'll have videos dropping, blogs coming out, merch coming out. Be sure that you are a part of the plan because you want to be behind somebody.
We're going somewhere.
We're going somewhere with this. All right, guys. We are signing out once again. I'm Nay.
I'm Nick.
And that's Alana. All right, guys. And we are signing out. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.